Are you familiar with a child by the name of Liam Ramos?
I am.
All right, so Liam was at this Dilley facility, and it just so happened that we had put in our 7 days notice, and y'all had grabbed him 6 days prior to our visit. So we were able to go and visit Liam. Are you aware of the court order that came down that released Liam from custody?
I am.
And are you aware that the judge said the case has its genesis in an ill-conceived and incompetently implemented government pursuit of daily deportation quotas, apparently even if it requires traumatizing children? This court and others regularly send undocumented people to prison and orders them deported, but do so by proper legal procedures. Are you aware of that?
Yes, and I would disagree with the judge on several
I'm sure you
points
would, but
in
can
there.
you tell me whether or not you have a law degree?
Father chose to.
Can you tell me whether or not you have a law degree?
If I have what?
A law degree.
No, I do not have a law
Okay,
degree.
and you do understand, because I can go through a bunch of court cases and orders that I disagree with from the Supreme Court, that ultimately that is the order of the court. That is what you follow, and if you have an issue, you appeal it up, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. The court went on to say, apparent also is the government's ignorance of an American historical document called the Declaration of Independence. 33-year-old Thomas Jefferson enumerated grievances against a would-be authoritarian king over his nascent nation. Among others were, he has sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people. He has excited domestic insurrection among us, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us. He has kept us among, in times of peace, standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. Are you aware that he wrote that? Do you know that he was writing about ICE that falls under you?
The judge?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. With that, I will yield, but I do have 2 UCs.
And I just want to say, this alone, this conduct alone is impeachable. And I want you to know that Americans will get accountability for the damage that you have done, for the lawlessness of aspects of DHS, for killing innocent Americans, for terrorizing children. They will get accountability. And you are the Secretary of DHS for now. And you think you're immune from accountability, but I promise you this, one day, he is not going to be president anymore. He is not going to be in charge. And when that day comes, we will still be here. And we will still be seeking accountability. And in hearings like this, we are going to continue to prove your guilt.
Madam Secretary, I'll read from the notice from your agency. Given the immediate action to significantly reduce illegal immigration and border crossings, DHS identified 4 companies. 4 of the hundreds of thousands of companies in the United States. You identified 4. One of those is this Safe America Media company. Where is Safe America Media headquartered?
I don't know.
I don't know either, Madam Secretary. We can't find it. We can't find a website. We did find an address that's registered for this company. Do you know where that address is?
Is there a problem with this contract?
I'll tell you about it.
According to
Madam
law,
Secretary, the address is registered to a political operative. Madam Secretary, the company, and then I'll give you an opportunity to respond. The company is registered to a political operative in Virginia. Do you know, just by way of example, whether this company that received $143 million in taxpayer dollars, has it ever done work for the government before?
I don't know. I can't.
The answer is it has not. And do you know why we know that? Because it was incorporated 8 days before this contract went out. You want the American people to believe that this is all above board?
Yes,
that $143 million of taxpayer money just happened to go to this one company that doesn't have a headquarters, doesn't have a website, has never done work for the federal government before, and is registered apparently or attached to a residence from a political operative. And of course, one of the subcontractors of that contract, as you know, is a political firm that's tied to you back when you were governor of South Dakota.
Like a personal slush fund, you budgeted an astonishing $220 million for media consultant contracts so you can star in self-promoting photo shoots and lavish ad campaigns like this one of you riding horseback at Mount Rushmore, which was shot during last year's government shutdown. You're living rent-free in the official waterfront residence reserved for the commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard. You spent $172 million to buy not one, but 2 luxury jets for your travel, and now you're using taxpayer funds to lease a 3rd jet, a $70 million luxury 737 MAX with a queen-size bedroom in the back, a deluxe serving bar, and 4 flat-screen TVs. A big, beautiful jet paid for by the big, beautiful bill. Yesterday, under questioning the Senate, you said you plan to refurbish this jet to make it into this kind of airplane, which is what's actually being used for deportations in order to save the taxpayers' money. In other words, you're saying that's actually a deportation plane, but wouldn't it have been cheaper just to buy a deportation plane in the first place? It's like buying a Rolls Royce to turn into a Metro bus. I was almost prepared to buy that story of how the jet was both for executive travel and mass deportation. And then I heard about an airborne episode of entitlement, arrogance, and contempt that I could hardly believe. Apparently, when your special blanket, your blankie, was left on one of the government jets and not transported over to the new one, your special government employee, Corey Lewandowski, chivalrously stepped forward to fire the pilot midair, a 2003 Coast Guard Academy graduate and distinguished U.S. Coast Guard commander in Air Station, Washington, D.C. But then he had to be rehired immediately because there was no one else who could fly the 2 of you on the rest of the journey back home.
I would say the word to describe it for Democrats, tremendous, tremendous turnout. I mean, woof! Texas Democratic Senate primary turnout, the highest ever was this primary. We're already up to 2.3 million, and that's only with 92% of the estimated voting. That will climb ever higher. The 2000s average was less than 1 million. They've more than doubled the average turnout for Texas Senate Democratic primaries. The Democrats came out and voted. This beats the old record, which was 2.2 million, and that was in a presidential primary year between Obama and Clinton, and this beat it. Democrats really enthusiastic. As I said, the word to describe this is tremendous.
I can't even believe it beat 2008. People, if you can remember back that far, that was such an important race in Texas. There's so much focus, and there were still more people voting in this one than that one in 2008. How about as a share of the people who voted overall?
It's not just that this 2.3 million is such a large portion, the largest ever for a Texas Senate Democratic primary. It's that more people voted in the Democratic primary than the Republican primary. Look at this. Share of Texas midterm primary ballots. Look at this. The 2000s average. If you look at the 2000s, on average, you see this. Republicans outvote Democrats. More people choose the Republican ballot than the Democratic ballot in midterm primaries by 60% to 40%, a margin of 3-2. But look so far, Democrats, more people are actually choosing the Democratic ballot. This is extremely unusual, 51% to 49%. And so far, there have actually been more of the Republican ballots estimated to be counted than Democrats. So this margin may climb ever higher. And I will note that this is the first time Democrats outvoted Republicans in a midterm primary season in Texas since 2002. So a lot of Democrats voting and more Democrats voting than Republicans. As I said, tremendous for Democrats.
And you said that has potential national implications because when something like this happens, it usually means the party that benefits.
Every single midterm since 2006, the party that votes more in primaries goes on to win the House of Representatives. And right now in Texas, a traditionally red state, more Democrats are voting. You transition that nationally, it's very likely that more Democrats will be voting than Republicans in primaries.
All right,
We are not just trying to win an election. We are trying to fundamentally change our politics. And it's working. The number of young people who showed up to vote in this election is unprecedented. The number of Texans who have never voted before but showed up in this election is unprecedented. The number of independents and Republicans who voted in this Democratic primary is unprecedented. This is proof that there is something happening in Texas. Tonight, the people of our state gave this country a little bit of hope. And a little bit of hope is a dangerous thing. I want to thank y'all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in this fight. God bless y'all. Thank you.
Our senators are willing to send our men and women to die for Israel.
No one wants to fight for Israel!
His hand! Oh! His hand!
Sir. Let go of your hand. Let go of the door. Let go of the door. The senator broke his hand. A sitting U.S. senator just broke the hand of a Marine. Sir. Control your Senate. Arm stuck in the door. Okay, sir. A U.S. senator just broke the hand of a Marine. Hand stuck. A U.S. senator just broke the hand of a Marine. You're a coward. Punk. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Why do you say that? Senator? Go fuck yourself. You were a shit seal. That's why you got kicked out. Fat ass.
Everybody sit down, please. Sit down, please. Everybody sit down, please. Everybody sit down, please.
I'm getting out of here.
That's fine. Everybody sit down, please. Is your hand okay? Okay. No, it's not.
This is disgusting. Disgusting.
Just pull it out.
No one wants to fight for Israel!
Oh my God.
Why are you here? Why are you getting arrested?
Free Palestine, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. Palestine will be free.
Oh my God, they broke his arm. Oh man.
We just witnessed a Marine veteran interrupting the hearing, and they broke his arm.
Why did he interfere?
Because there is a war in Iran, and our military brothers and sisters are going to die for Israel, and we are here to say no. We do not support Israel. We do not want to die for Israel. Stop the war in Iran right now.
And what did they do to him?
They pulled him out, got his arm trapped in a door, broke his arm, tackled him to the ground. It was a very, very intense situation.
Please stand up as a Marine and stand up for America.
America does not want to fight this war in Iran, and the soldiers don't, right, Brian?
No, they don't. American citizens don't want to send their sons and daughters to fight in Iran. We're fighting for Israel.
One more leg, just so you don't trip it off. Please.
From kidnapping the leader of Venezuela to starting a war in Iran and everything that's happened in between, you might wonder what the fuck is Trump and his regime doing? It all seems so random. I'm going to explain it to you one time. I need you to lock in and pay attention. Before I get to my whiteboard, let me just explain to you in 10 seconds how I was raised. I was raised to believe that as a Christian, the government was going to prosecute me. I believed that since I was this tall. Since as long as I can remember, I was taught that the government hated me for being Christian, took the Bible out of school, took prayer out of school, took Christianity out of America, and when you took God out of America, that's when everything started going downhill. And if you want to save this country, you'll bring God back into America, you'll bring Bible back into schools, you'll bring the prayer back into schools. I believed that since the time I was a kid.
I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory.
And so did everybody who taught it to me. And that is the foundation of everything. Let me explain to you. Before Donald Trump was inaugurated in January, his ear was shot in Butler, Pennsylvania. Remember the magic ear that grew back? Ever since that happened, evangelicals and people who are MAGA, people who weren't even MAGA, started believing that God saved Trump and God anointed him to be our leader, and that started this entire chain of events that caused Christian nationalists to start believing the things that we've been told our whole life is now coming true.
I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory.
As soon as Trump took office in January, he started doing things to initiate the Christian nationalist agenda. In February of 2025, less than a month after he was inaugurated, he established a White House faith office. That's a very big deal. He also signed an executive order eradicating Christian bias, which doesn't exist. It's made up. It just feeds into that Christian persecution complex, which is a core element of everything he's doing. Also, if you look right here after he established the office, on their page, you can go to it. They're standing around him praying and just doing this whole big public display of prayer. You
The Lord says it is done, for I hear victory, victory, victory.
got this new thing where Donald Trump says he's going to bring the Bible back in school, bring the prayer back in school. What I've been hearing my whole life, that's what he's doing. The entire rest of 2025 was this whole thing to centralize Christianity. Pete Hegseth praying in front of the troops. The same Pete Hegseth, by the way, that wrote this book that literally talks about declaring a holy war to usher in Armageddon. You got Donald Trump attending the National Prayer Breakfast.
He said, where? National Prayer Breakfast. I said, I'll be there. I'm afraid not to be. I need all the help I can get.
You got Trump talking about whether or not he'll get into heaven. He's having this end-of-life mortality crisis.
I'm never going to make it to heaven. I just don't think I qualify.
They made Charlie Kirk a martyr.
We lost an incredible American today. A dear friend of mine. If you knew him, you love him. His name is Charlie Kirk. Taken by an assassin's bullet. The only assurance I can take is that I know he is with his Lord and Savior right now.
He was just a man of God, and he was persecuted again with the Christian persecution complex. And then in 2026, they started the year off detaining people who peacefully protested in a church. They didn't hurt anybody, they didn't stop anybody from serving, but it feeds into their Christian persecution complex. That's an open case. The DOJ has now arrested upwards of 20 plus people in this made up asinine case. And now with the attack on Iran, we've heard that the commanders at ground level told their troops this was a holy war because God, Jesus, anointed Donald Trump, and this must happen to usher in Armageddon, which will lead to the second coming of Christ. I need you to understand that they actually believe they are making America godly again. They're bringing God back into America, the Bible back into schools, and prayer back into schools, and they're casting out the evil that's taken over this godly country. And when they do that, and when they return America to a godly, moral country, everything will be right again. They believe this. They don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about Congress. This is a Christian nationalist takeover of our country. This is a goddamn coup.
This is not in America's interests. It is true that Netanyahu said the other day that he's been waiting 40 years to get to this point. Well, it took him 40 years to find an American president who is stupid enough to drag America into this war and open up Pandora's box at a time when our own CIA says, according to public reports, that the most likely change in regime will be from what we have. And believe me, this was an awful, hateful regime. You know, they did terrible things to their own people and in the region. But the CIA says we're likely to get even more radical.
Part of our main community. Nobody wants this war. No. Absolutely no one thinks that this is a good idea. And the reason why they don't want it is because they know what it's actually about.
Right.
This is a war that's being pushed by Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah.
He's been trying to make this war happen for almost 30 years. This is a war that's being pushed by the Saudis, who have also wanted this war to happen. Two nations that are happy to watch American blood be expended on their behalf. This war is also being pushed because Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. And other people in the White House and other people connected with the Epstein class, they are terrified that we have noticed what they are doing. They're terrified that we're going to start wondering why the hell we let them stay in power.
This administration can't even give us a straight answer as to why we launched this preemptive war. The president says we had to strike first because an Iranian strike was imminent. Meanwhile, the Department of Defense conceded there was no evidence of an imminent Iranian strike. Some told us this war was about nuclear weapons, but 6 months ago, we were assured our last strike on Iran decimated their nuclear program. So which is it? I think the most candid answer came from the Secretary of State, who told the press that Israel forced our hand and dragged us into this war again. And that truth is the very reason why it is Congress that must decide war. If American lives are to be risked and American blood is to be shed, that decision must be debated and voted on by the representatives of the American people, and that debate is meant to be arduous, and that vote is meant to be hard. I have a theory. I think my colleagues don't want to go on record because we have a terrible track record of meddling in the Middle East. They don't want their name associated with this when it doesn't turn out well. But Congress cannot be bothered with its constitutional duty because for many in this chamber, it's easier to simply allow someone else's sons and daughters to be sent to combat without their vote. And to be clear, we aren't even here to declare war today. All we're voting on is a war powers resolution to reassert the Constitution, that Congress must decide questions of war. And if Congress wants war, then the Speaker should hold a vote to declare it.
They're coming here. They're coming here. In the name of Jesus from South America. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. From Africa, from South America. Angelic forces, angelic reinforcement, angelic reinforcement, angelic reinforcement. Fika hata anda ata. Ora bata rata anda eke manda rasata. For I hear the sound of victory. 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 I hear the sound of victory.
It's time for the Trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Oh yeah. The Trucker John Livestream. Come along for a good time. It's a good time, good time, good time, good time. Trucker John Livestream. It's gonna be a good time. Gonna be the time of your life. Gonna talk some shit. Hush your mouth. Gonna talk a little smack. Gonna talk whatever comes of it. You're gonna always wanna come back. Oh yeah, it's the Trucker John Livestream. He's the biggest, baddest, funniest mother you've ever seen. Watch your mouth, he's headed south. Not even sure what that means, but if it's one thing I know, the Trucker John Livestream is the best thing you've ever seen.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is 12:01 p.m. here in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, Pacific time zone. We're looking at 62 degrees, high of only 65 today, overnight low of 50 degrees here in beautiful Las Vegas. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. I do appreciate you waiting nearly an hour late from my scheduled start time of 11 a.m. Now it's 12 p.m. So sorry about that. Again, no, Danny Pomeroy, it was not because I was eating breakfast. I saw your little post. I ate breakfast during the 25-minute intro. It was putting that intro together and editing. It, again, takes longer. It always, I should start earlier, but anyhow, it's neither here nor there. Doing the intro right before the show, it's tricky. Anyhow, thanks for being here. I do see that Sandy Foltz is first, and Sandy is making sure I know that with the $2 super sticker. So, yippee. Sandy, thank you so much. I appreciate the super sticker. And Sandy says, I'm always first. Pretty much. Almost always. I do see Jolie is here, and I believe Aaron's here. I can't scroll all the way to the top. I believe we are at full mod capacity. Full mod capacity. I believe so. I don't want to get too much into that, just in case. But I think Aaron's here and Jolie, both at the same time. So thanks for being here. I do appreciate the mod squad being here. Anna Moore's here. Now, I'm not able to scroll back all the way to the top, so I'm just somewhere near the top. But DPD is here. And interesting intro today. All this bullshit. Donald Trump pandering to the religious right, the nationalist, all that shit, bringing us into wars. What a mess. What a mess. It was kind of nice to see Kristi Noem get kind of grilled, though, wasn't it? And man, I haven't heard you guys might know, you might be more up to date. I don't know. Did she actually get fired? Did Trump actually fire her this morning? I thought I might have seen something to that effect, but I don't know for sure. But getting fired is not enough. What a waste of taxpayer dollars, just so she could have these glamour shoots, have big fancy luxury airplanes that she can fly around and have sex with her boyfriend in, even though she is currently married. Party of family values. Isn't she married, right? When she's going around and in this private jet with her boyfriend, and they're going off into the bedroom doing. I don't think God. I don't think it's God that only knows what's going on there. I think we all know, and just an incredible waste of taxpayer dollars. This whole administration is such a waste. All the money and resources and things we're doing could be going to so much better things. It could actually be improving our infrastructure. Could actually be helping people with food relief and with housing relief, helping people with education and training. But instead, we want to put on these shows, these big shows that are more than just shows. I mean, we're very well aware of the murders that took place in Minneapolis. I don't know if enough of us are aware, including myself, of the deplorable, inhumane treatment that is being carried out by DHS with these concentration camps that they're building and putting people in, putting U.S. citizens in, because they've stripped people of their due process. And I'm not saying if even if they were undocumented and there was some sort of due process, that they would deserve to be treated the way they're being treated in these camps, in these prisons. I'm not saying that, but still, just think there are U.S. citizens that are being grabbed and snatched and thrown in these places, where people have to crawl through feces and piss and God knows what to take a shower. That was on Liberal Dan's show. Was it Liberal Dan's show last night? Yeah, talking about that story about a guy who is handicapped, missing some limbs and things like this, and to take a shower had to crawl through this stuff. And you hear these stories over and over again of this deplorable, inhumane treatment of inmates having to eat like maggot-infested food, I guess, or moldy or expired food. The drinking water being contaminated. It's just, what the fuck, man? I mean, It's just, they're just sick. So Kristi Noem and all the rest of them, I hope you get whatever punishment is like. I hope it's like, a million times worse than what you've been dealing out to people who don't deserve it. Even if you aren't a U.S. citizen and you're here, illegally, okay, so what? You don't deserve to be treated like this. It's a sickness. We have a sickness in this country of depravity, and I think kind of sadomasochistic. And these are the people that are in power right now. I see DPD's here. Danny Pomeroy. We're just going down the list here. Say hello. We got Caleb Guillory. Caleb Guillory says, "Don't blame immigrants. They voted for Harris." Laughing out loud. That will piss off the right. Okay. Oh, there's Aaron West. Aaron West says, "I'm studying for a final in computer ethics and AI. I have a solid A in the class, so I should be fine." Is that all one class? Computer ethics and AI? I thought it was two classes, but I guess it's all one class. Well, I'm glad you got that solid A. Keep up the good work, Aaron. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. Michael McAndrews is here, the executive producer of the Trucker John live stream. Thank you very much. Thanks, Michael, for being here. I appreciate you. Mr. Spock with, there we go, live long and prosper. Talking about his chickens, I guess. They're on a tight laying schedule. Where's TJ? Mr. Spock, how's the roach problem, TJ? I have not seen a roach in months. I've not seen any bugs here in months. I think the combination of, and they haven't sprayed in here in months. But they did do some really, I think, extensive hardcore spraying of bug spray shit in here from the exterminator. I put those traps out and I trapped probably hundreds, if not thousands, of cockroaches in those traps, those sticky pad trap thingies. And then after that, I took those out and then I put those little combat trap thingies where they take the food back to the nest, and the food is laced with poison. And I think that shit has just done a remarkable job of keeping them away. Like I said, now knock on wood. No, here's my wood table over here. Knock on wood. That I don't jinx myself here, but I haven't seen one in months, and so I'm going to replace those combat traps. I remember when I put them down, it said to replace them, I think every 6 months or something, or I forget how long it said, but I just figured I would on the first day of spring, which is coming up pretty soon, right? When is the official day of spring? Anyhow, pretty soon. Then I figured I would just change them out, the combat traps. And I think they're doing a hell of a job. Hell of a job, combat traps. Hell of a job. I've got them all around me. And they're doing a hell of a job. So, and hopefully, I'm killing the nests that not only, keeping bugs from my place, but keeping them from the other apartments around me. DPD says, "I hope TJ is okay." Yeah, I'm okay. It just took me a long time to make that intro and to edit it and get it downloaded and all that kind of stuff. I was editing it like I didn't finish editing it until I think it was after 11. 11 was the start time, that I put down, and I think it was after 11 by the time I even finished editing. DPD says, has anyone been watching the Corey Richards murder trial in Utah? I have not. I don't really get into those type of things. I know people bring those up all the time, and I'm totally ignorant on it. I'm not really interested in that kind of stuff, I guess. I don't know. Anna Moore says, I have been a bit, I don't know, of it. I guess you were watching some of it. I don't know. There's big typos there. Oh, Aaron West Noam has been fired. Okay. So there you go. They roasted her pretty good. Roasted her to the point that she got fired. The roast turned into a fire. Well, I'm glad she's been fired, but I think she needs to be held accountable in a court of law for ripping off American taxpayers and for fraud and all kinds of shit. Anna Moore says, now can my daughter get her job back at FEMA? Did Christy Nome have anything to do with that? I guess is FEMA under DHS? I guess so, huh? I guess DHS covers a whole wide range of things. And here's Liberal Dan. Liberal Dan's here. So Liberal Dan says, bye-bye, Christy Nome. So you guys knew before I did. I was still editing, and I hadn't heard that she'd been fired yet. But Liberal Dan's here. Good to see you. I do believe, if hopefully I'm correct, I believe Liberal Dan will be on tonight, right? Because Liberal Dan has added Thursday shows. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 8 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. Don't forget to check out Liberal Dan. Best show on the internet, I'm telling you. Anna Moore says, hello, TJ, missed you and everyone in the chat group. Danny Pomeroy, John, hit play. I think I did, just right around. You pretty much called it there, Danny. I want to thank everyone. We got 25 watching, and we have 30 thumbs up, so we are acting like pretty good Democrats right now with a good little surplus. Good little surplus going on. Josh Sees is here. Always good to see Josh Sees in the old driver's lounge. Always good to see Josh Sees. DVD says, I hope so, Anna Moore, but honestly, her predecessor will most likely be worse than her. That's the thing right now. We can get these people fired, but as long as Trump is in charge, or any Republican from that matter, even if it was J.D. Vance who was in charge, or whoever, it's not like they're going to replace them with someone that's actually competent and believes in the rule of law or whatever, So. That's the thing. That's like we can have RFK Jr. replaced, but now it's kind of hard to imagine that they could find someone even more loony and whack jobbery than RFK Jr. But I'm sure the GOP would, or Donald Trump or whoever would say, "Hold my beer," and they would get someone in there even worse, probably. If you can imagine someone worse than RFK Jr., I'm sure that Trump and his administration would find someone worse. Jolie says, "I love Jamie Raskin." Now Jamie was in the intro there, and just bring in the receipts. Josh Sees, where was that? I think that was when Josh Sees made that comment when I think when the Marine broke his hand, or his hand was broken. That was at a Senate hearing. They were having a hearing on something, on the war, I guess, or something. I don't know. Not really sure. Exact. Now that you mentioned it, the exact name of the Senate hearing. Serena Monkey's here, Serena Monkey. I had 3 blokes in my cab last night from jolly good old England. And they all talk just like this. Actually, no, they didn't. Their accents were very different than the one that I try to do. They may have even been Scottish or something. I don't know, man. You guys with your accents over there. You got like a million accents. I think they were from England, though, not Scotland. DPD says, I hope he presses charges for assault. Talking about the Marine who had his hand broken. It kind of looked like his elbow, didn't it? Like, I know that was kind of graphic, and I apologize for that if that was too much to see. But I don't know. But I guess it was his hand. But it was just a weird thing. Anyhow, DPD says, I hope he presses charges for assault. Imagine the audacity of these motherfuckers thinking they have the right to put their hands on anyone, let alone a Marine. What the fuck? Paul Burrell says, as a Native American, it makes my heart sick and sad to see what has happened to my grandfather's country. Hey, man, whether you're Native or not, I think a lot of us are feeling sick about what's going on with the country. Jolie, religion is a scourge. I'm like Trump. I have a hard time saying scourge. That scourge on the planet. You know, speaking of religion, now I've been calling myself an agnostic for probably 20 years now, and I was raised in Christian, Protestant religions, and as a kid. And I was in it, church off and on through my 20s and stuff like that. But in between phases of just, partying, no pottery though, partying and just debauchery. Is that the word? Is that how you say it? But I've been, and someone in the chats a few times, I think, have asked me over the years of doing this show, like, do I ever think about death? And I was like, nah, because I really don't think about death all that much. I really don't. But for some reason, the last few days, I've been dwelling on death. It's kind of like, I guess, death in general, not in any type of suicidal way or anything like that, but just thinking about just pondering death. Maybe it's because I'm old. I'm 65 and a half. Maybe as we get older, we start maybe I'm like Trump. I don't know if I'm going to get to heaven. I don't know. But it kind of reminds me, I do remember being about 5 or 6 and really thinking about creation and God, and then thinking about, like, where did it all begin? How did it start? And getting into this loop, like, of not making sense, things not making sense, how things could just start, and with God, and God created everything, and how we're just born, and then even as of like 5 or 6-year-old, I remember thinking about death. And like, if there is nothing, if there is, this is as a 6-year-old, I remember this because I remember the house we lived in. I remember the bedroom I was in. I remember, so I know I was like 6 years old, and that's kind of heavy stuff. And now, now I'm on the other end of life, I guess. I mean, hopefully, I'm not saying hopefully I'm around for another 20 or 30 years. But and I've been thinking about it again, about like how, I really don't believe that there's an afterlife. I don't really believe there's God. Even though I'd still talk to God, because this God is something I think is in our head, and God, whether it's God, whether it's Jesus, God and Jesus, um, you know, it's something that I think is valuable. It helps get us through some tough times, and help, religion and all that can help us, give us hope, all those kind of things. But when I really get down to the brass tacks of it, because I've had the conversation with myself as an adult, not as a 6-year-old, but as an adult, looking myself in the mirror and saying, like, okay, John, do you really think there's a God up in heaven who knows everything, sees everything, hears everything, is all powerful, all knowing? And I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, no, I don't believe that. And then I kind of braced myself for some lightning to hit, and it didn't hit. There was no lightning. But now, and I've been thinking about death, like, again, like when when you die, that's game over. It's just game over. There is no white light to go to. There is no afterlife. There's no heaven. There's no meeting up with your family that have passed, your friends and family members. It's just done. And it kind of makes you sad, because we invent these. I think we, as a species, as a human being, as human species, we invent these images and scenarios of an afterlife because we're human, and we miss our loved ones, and we want to be reunited, and we want to go to this really nice place after we die. So I think it's all invented, of course, but then to really think about, it's not going to happen. It's kind of sad, but so I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I don't know why. I don't know, if that's, um, I think it's just a phase I'm going through. I go through these phases or whatever. I don't know. Penny to Create says we are living in a disgusting reality show with weird performers. Yeah, it is pretty disgusting. We have a reality show personality, TV personality, who is running the country. DPD says the fact military personnel are telling soldiers that the orange pedophile is Christ-like should be reason enough for the military to fucking revolt ASAP. Bonnie Balcom says, I'm a Christian and my God doesn't live in the sky, and they do not require people to make a spectacle of praying in public. Strandy Monkey says, been watching a lot of anti-Russian propaganda today. We aren't ready. Can't protect ourselves. Can't stop the USA from attacking countries for which we are being targeted for. FDJT. Thank you for that. Strandy Monkey, thank you for that. Anna Moore says, agreed that senator should have been taken away in handcuffs. He committed battery. Barney Balcon says God is non-binary. I mean, no one knows what God is. You have your idea of God. That's fine. I was listening to the Political Punk last night. A guy who goes by the name of Tommy. He was trying to say that God doesn't have a penis. I mean, when I heard that, I was like, "How do you know if God doesn't have a penis? No one knows. I mean, first of all, it doesn't exist. So God can be whatever we want to make him to be. But he was saying God doesn't have gender and all this kind of shit. How do you know if God doesn't have gender or not? We don't know. When I picture God as being this big kind of, Charlton Heston, when Charlton Heston played Moses or something, but with a big, but instead of being Moses, being God and being robes and big long white beard and just beautiful thick gray hair, long, So and I never really thought about it, but I just assumed he had a penis. I don't know. You don't know, Tommy. You don't know. No one knows. And if you want to make him without a penis, it can, because it's all stuff we make up anyhow. If you want to make him like a Ken doll underneath that robe, then be my guest. Be my guest. Big Hook's here. I hear the sound of bullshit. Hey, Big Hook. I think you're the second person that said that in this chat. I think DPD said that same exact thing. Aaron West says Paula White is crazy. Crazy. Especially, I chopped that up and I put those inserts in. Did I put the one where she was doing the weird? I might have left it out. She did about, I want to say 20 seconds of this weird kind of speaking of tongues thing. I forget if I left that in or not, but she just starts going like, "Agada, gigada, agada, gugada, gigada, agada, gugada, gada, gada." I've been to churches like that. I'm like, oh my God. Even the Mormon church. I was a Mormon on and off also, which I kind of don't count as Protestant because they're just weird. They're like a whole new, or not whole new, but the Mormons are like a whole different animal as far as religion is concerned. But even the Mormons had people that would all of a sudden get up and start speaking in tongues during church. It wasn't just the Pentecostals or whatever that did that, and the Holy Rollers and the Assembly of Gods. The fucking Mormons even do that shit. It's weird. Barney Balcom says, I heard the sound of victory when Biden won. Yeah, Penny to Create says, seeing that guy walking back and forth behind Paula White was quite entertaining. And I so wanted to, if I had more time, I so wanted to do like a little voiceover or a little like it would be that guy walking by. I wanted to do it like because it looks like he's reading a newspaper or something. I don't know. So I wanted, as he's walking by, I wanted to be like he's going like, "Oh, the Dow's up today," and then he comes back down. And he goes, the Mets traded who? Then he walks by again and it's like, Taylor Swift is what doing? Anyhow, I so wanted to do that, but I would have been 2 hours late if I had done that. Bonnie Bachman says Christy Gnome's hair extensions are moving out of the DHS. Pinch Great, the evil gnomes will be fired. Mark Wayne Mullen is said to be the next nominee. See, we were talking about the replacement. Mark Wayne Mullen is no better than Christy Gnome. I can guarantee you. He might do things differently, but it'll be just as bad, if not worse. Mark Wayne Mullen is a fucking meathead, a knucklehead, and a bully. But hey, who am I? Maybe I should give him benefit of the doubt. Russell the Troubadour says they're both married. Okay, so yeah, I was talking about Christy Gnome and Corey Lewandowski. They're fucking on America's dime, so to speak, in the luxury jet, and has a nice big bedroom with a nice big queen size bed in it. They're both married to other people, and they're up there in that the Mega Mile High Club. Josh sees family of party values. Yep, that's what they are. No one said they were good values, I guess, apparently. Big Hook Gnome has been fired. Should been fired. Aaron West, what kind of name is Mark Wayne? Mark Wayne? Yeah, it's not even like separate. It's not like it. I thought it was like Wayne was his middle name. So is there a misprint? Is that a typo? I just thought Mark. I thought his name was Mark Wayne Mullen. But is Mark Wayne like all one word? Big serial killer name. DPD says you can always tell the real Christians from the fake Christians. Christians don't play around with God. They take their religious beliefs seriously and not use it as a prop for gain or reward. Sweetie Monkey says there are a few funny religious nutcase songs out there. Although I don't like the Star Wars ones better, like Bushes of Love and Seagulls better. All right, Surrender Monkey coming in with that British humor. Yeah, Rusty Troubadour says, Aaron, it's Mark Wayne Mullen, the Republican senator from Oklahoma, another Trump sycophant. And Oklahoma has not produced anything good politically, I don't think, ever. Yeah, Aaron West, the WMT having to drag myself through feces and bloody. Yeah, that was. I believe we heard about that on the Liberal Dan show last night, right? Big Cook, as Texas Post says, we are not the same. We are not the same. You're Republicans and Democrats. We are definitely not the same. Sandy Folds, did Trump ever cheat on his wife? You're joking, right? Trump has cheated on all of his wives. Trump cheats like all the women he's been with. He cheated on them when he was with someone else, and then hooked up with them and then cheated on them. He's a serial cheater, and not to leave out that he's also a rapist and a pedophile. So, which is even worse than just being a regular little cheater. I mean, way, way worse, a million times worse, as far as I'm concerned. DPD says, don't be fooled into believing they are putting incinerators in the concentration camps to dispose of waste. They don't give a fuck about moldy food and contaminated water, but the waste is off limits. Sandy Foltz says the Tops supermarket on Jefferson Avenue in Buffalo, ever since 10 black people got killed, shooting are still happening there. What's still happening there? Shootings are still happening there? I don't know. Josh C says March 20th is the first day of spring. So, yeah, just a couple weeks, few weeks, first day. So then I'm going to change out the combat traps right around then. But so far, they're doing a great job. Paul Burrow says, I officially got kicked to the curb today, forced retirement from my federal job, stage 71, looking for work. What do you mean, stage 71? Well, Paul, I hope you find something. I don't want to be nosy, but have you filed for Social Security? If you haven't filed yet and you're 71, you'll get your full benefits. I filed for mine early, so I took a cut, a pretty big cut, probably about a $400 or $500 cut in monthly pay by taking mine as early as I did. So I don't know. It's none of my business, but sometimes we have conversations here, ask questions. Patrazi. Petrazi 1920 is here. Hey, Petrazi, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in to the old driver's lounge. I appreciate you. Oh, age 71. I should have figured that out. Anyhow, if you're not taking Social Security, then you should go apply for it, man. But it's none of my business, actually. I mean, it's everyone does their own thing. Mr. Spock says only 71. You're good for another decade of work. Paul Burrow's got to pay off the 50-year mortgage. DPD says, yeah, TJ, DHS is also in control of FEMA, cybersecurity, anti-terrorism, and border control. Big Hook says, who wants to bet Stephen Miller puts his wife as the new DHS secretary? She certainly hates all immigrants, just like her husband. Well, we've already, I guess, people have said it's Mark Wayne Mullen. I mean, I think they still has to go through Senate confirmation or whatever, right? Or congressional confirmation. Is it just the Senate that confirms? I don't know. I don't remember. Fancy's here. Hey, Fancy, good to see you. Thanks for popping on in. Always good to see Fancy. Fancy. Has Fancy made any new videos lately? Fancy's always popping out some really fun, exciting videos. Make sure to check out Fancy on YouTube. Miss Fancy 5000. Fancy's always changing her name too, I think. Sandy says Stephon Diggs was let go from New England. So I don't know what Mr. Spot can't wait for. What did I miss something here? I don't know. I must have skipped something. Jolie says it's hard not to dwell on death when the president of our country is responsible for so much of it. Yeah, I guess, Serena Monkey says, I know when I pass, I'm not going to be problematic anymore unless you are the one who did it. And I think one of the things that got me thinking about that so much is I stumbled upon a show, a YouTube channel, which then when I watched that, it how the algorithm gets affected. So then there was like 3 or 4 of these other channels that were almost all the same. They were all, atheists who have this like prove me wrong type of thing, where they want callers to come in and prove to them that that their religion is correct and that there's a God and there's an afterlife and all that kind of stuff. And one of them was like, how does you believe that your soul leaves your body and goes to heaven, but how do you see? How do you think? How do you remember anything? Because your brain doesn't go with you, your eyes don't go with you. Like, that's all part of the body, and the body is left behind rotting. And that kind of made me think, like, yeah, that's right. Your brain doesn't go with you. And like, how do you think? Do you have like a magic spirit brain? You have like little magical spirit eyes or something? I don't know. It just kind of reinforced, my thoughts from over 20 years ago when I was talking to myself in the mirror and asking myself, do I believe there's this God in heaven who knows everything, does everything, is all powerful and all that, And when I said no, so it was kind of like the same thing. Like, do you believe that there's some sort of, do you have this magic brain that goes with you and magic eyes and shit, you know. Oh no! So that I think that's what got me started on this, because that was like a week ago or something. I've been thinking about this shit for like a week now. Barbara Nicholas is here. Barbara says, "Hi everyone. My son-in-law was Secret Service, mandatory retirement, 56." Well, yeah, because they've got to be somewhat fit, don't they? And I can tell you that in your mid-50s, you can still be pretty fit. You can still be, pretty capable, but it's pretty much downhill from there on out. So, you know, hopefully they have a good pension plan. Josh C says, I figure that a lot of things that feel good kill brain cells, so it can't be all that bad. DPD says, maybe you're pondering age, not because of your age, TJ, because of the world. The world is on fucking fire. It's on fire! We're on fire! Paul Burrell, spirit in the sky, that's where I'm going to go when I die, and they lay me to rest, going to a place that's best. What was that guy's name? That was like a one-hit wonder. His name is like Norman von Brinkenheimer or something. He had like a weird name. Spirit Monkey says, true story. I already died when I was 6 weeks old. Then some legendary Australian surgeon stepped in. I had no idea. Interesting. Very interesting. Big Hook says the afterlife is a fairy tale we tell ourselves to console ourselves. If anything, it's more important to ensure the welfare of those left behind. Mad Max says, if you don't think that there is something afterwards, it can lead to depression and thinking of what's the use of doing anything. Think of the vastness of the universe, and regardless, there is more. Well, we will all find out. Our days are all numbered, and we will all meet our maker, so to speak. We will all have that fateful day when it's our last moment, and we breathe our last breath, and then everything goes to black, and then either there's just nothing, and that's it, game over. There's no consciousness. You're just done, or there could be something more. None of us know. None of us will know until that happens. DBD says our loved ones never leave us after they pass. TJ, they surround us with love and comfort. You just have to slow down and pay attention. Well, no, I believe that that our loved ones, yeah, we carry them, figuratively in our heart. Really, it's in our brain, in our memories, with our memories, right? That's how we keep our loved ones alive. It's through our memories. Sandy Foltz says, getting ready for St. Patrick's Day. I have my decorations up. Well, Sandy, going all out for St. Patty's. Mr. Spock says, Monty Python, it's always Christmas in heaven. It's always Christmas in heaven. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that tune. I'm sure it was a tune. I'm sure it was a catchy little tune. Sandy Foltz says, maybe you need to go to church, TJ. No thanks. Thanks, but no thanks. I have no desire to go to church. Certain Monkey says, I'm not ever depressed knowing this is the one chance to enjoy yourself to the most of your ability. Sandy Votes, how come you don't believe in God? Like I said, I asked because I had a heart to heart, and I asked myself the question, and I told myself, now be honest. I said, if you can't be honest with yourself, then you can't be honest with anybody. So I leaned into the mirror. I looked dead into my eyes, dead center or whatever the expression is, right dead into my eyes. And I asked myself the question, do you believe that there really is a God in heaven who is omniscient, omnipotent, all-knowing, all-powerful, up there, taking care of everything? Do you really believe that? Do you really believe there's an afterlife? That you go somewhere after you die? And I looked myself in the eye, or eyes, or just kind of one at a time, I guess. And I said, no, I don't believe that. So that's why. Aaron West says Candace Cameron doesn't like to have sex because it creeps her out that God is watching. I don't know. I don't know who Candace Cameron is, but that's kind of funny. Mr. Spock says TJ was possessed. That's weird. Big Hook 1229 time reference. Oh yeah, since Nick Rich isn't here, I don't think is Nick Rich here. Where Nick Rich doesn't like me anymore. He mods for everybody else but me or watching. Yeah, 1248. So I'm what am I? Almost 20 minutes behind. Josh, because I was doing the thing. Josh says maybe that's what happens during words of wisdom. DJ speaks tongues. Jolie says Tommy is really fascinated with Paula White. Aaron West says Paula White stole my old church in Florida. I have beef. That's funny. Sandy Fold says when someone dies, you are never going to see them ever again, and when they're gone, you miss that person so much. Well, that's true. I mean, that I think everything you said there is true. Somebody Monkey, I said, I would love to see you parody that guy walking behind Paula White. You know, he was saying, you'll be forced to drink your own urine and eat your own dung. Big Hook says all the evangelical preachers are grifters of the highest order. It's a good gig, man, apparently. Some of these guys, have you seen some of the mansions they live in? Talk about private jets. Yeah. It's a good gig if you can do it, if you can swing it. Sandy says God is always with us. There is a God. Well, like I said, we're all free to believe what we want to believe, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. As long as we're not hurting anybody else, and I don't think that is hurting anybody else. So, free to believe what you want to believe. Mad Max says Surrender Monkey, but that is all that the orange pedo is doing, and everyone knows that he is an asshole. I'm not saying there is or isn't a God. I'm saying there is magnificence in the universe. Well, I agree with that. There is magnificence in the universe. And that's why I like to call myself an agnostic rather than an atheist, because I think atheists, they claim to know everything, just like the most sort of hardcore religious person. They claim to know that God is real. They know that whatever it is that they believe, that they know that's real. Atheists can be that way too, in the opposite way, that they know there's nothing, they know it. So that's why I call myself, and then I call myself an agnostic. And then the atheists will say that agnostics are cowards, too chicken shit to make, just go one way or the other. I call myself an agnostic because I believe that the universe is magnificent, and it's vast, and it's ever growing. It's infinite. So who's to say that in that infinity that there isn't something that's that's true to being an afterlife or whatever. That's the only reason why I call myself an agnostic, because I don't claim to know. I don't claim to know everything. In fact, I say just the opposite. I know nothing. I'm Sergeant Solching it. Sergeant Schultzing it. I know nothing, and I think that none of us know anything. Even the atheists, they don't know. They don't know. Like Tommy, you don't know if God doesn't have a penis or a gender. You don't know that. He might have the biggest swinging dick out there, man. I don't know. Oh, so DBD says Candace is just as crazy as her brother Kirk. So Candace Cameron is Kirk Cameron's sister. Okay. Sandy says, TJ, you need to start going to church so you know more about Jesus. I think I know a lot about Jesus. In fact, Jesus is my favorite person in the New Testament. I think Jesus is pretty cool. I actually like Jesus. Anna Moore says 100% DBD, when they are drunk with power, nothing is off the table. Paul Burrows says, I'm on Social Security. Oh, okay. So yeah, you got your Social Security, and yeah, go find something to supplement your income. That's what I do at the cab driving. I'm on Social Security, and I supplement my Social Security with cab driving. Walter Makarovich is here. Hey, Walter, good to see you. Walter says, good afternoon, Trucker John. Hope all is well. Did you see Major Ojeda won his primary? I did see that. Congratulations to the Major, and I hope he goes on and kicks the shit out of that fucking GOP candidate, who I believe is the incumbent, right? But yeah, as Jolie says, it's great news. Great news. DPD says, I don't do the fire and brimstone Christians. As a matter of fact, we had an incident a couple years ago at Thanksgiving. I guess wanted to get started, so I fixed them a plate and asked them to leave. It's like, here you go. Thank you for coming. Here's your parting gift. Nice plate of food for you. Certain Monkey says, oh my gosh, I just turned on all chat. Yes, Mad Mac, the universe is indeed fucking incredible. YouTube standard settings, however, are shitty and hiding things like they work in the American government. Oh, don't tell me you Brits don't hide shit in your government. Walter Bukarovich says, sorry, I haven't been here. Lots of doctor appointments. Well, I hope it's going okay for you. You know, sending my thoughts and prayers of good health to you. Sandy Full says, Paul, maybe you should drive a taxi like TJ. Jolie says, your memories are stored in a cloud. Yeah. That's pretty funny. Big Hook says, it's always amazing how thoroughly Republicans can fuck up the country and blame the Democrats. But in the end, it's always the Democrats who have to fix everything and get the economy and society back. Yeah, it's a pattern, a repeating pattern that we've seen over and over again, at least since Reagan. This back and forth. Republicans fuck everything up, run the deficits up enormously, debt and deficit. And then Democrats get in there, they start cleaning things up, things start getting better, and then voters get apathetic or whatever, or they listen to the propaganda and they elect Republicans, and the Republicans just do it all over again. We've seen it over and over again. Nearly crashed the entire economy, almost led us into a Great Depression. And then we've seen now Trump twice take over, being handed pretty good economies, especially from Obama, very good economy, crashing it, mishandling COVID intentionally, crashing the economy. Joe Biden gets us going. The last couple of years of his term, got us going and rolling and seeing economic numbers, good economic numbers we hadn't seen in half a century in some cases, and Trump's already destroying that. So it's just this repeated pattern and repeated pattern. Is that well, yeah. And I'm hoping that the American voters are getting wiser and wiser to that, but I guess we'll see. Norman Greenbaum, there you go. Thank you, Jolie. I think I had the Norman part right. Sandy Folt says my son keeps on telling me to get a living will and insurance policy. Well, I think everyone should have a will done. And I'm guilty of it. I haven't done mine, even though I really have nothing to pass on to my kids. But I think you should have a will just to let people know, how you want your whatever stuff you have what to be done with it, and if you have any money, what to do with the money, and if you have whatever any possessions you have, what to do with them, how you want to be buried or cremated or however you want that handled, that kind of stuff. I think everyone should have a living will. As far as insurance policy, I think like once you get to a certain age, I don't think you need I don't think you need life insurance. I mean, I think a good idea for life insurance is like if you're in a young family, you've got young kids, and maybe you're the primary breadwinner or whatever, and let's say you die prematurely, you do whatever from an accident or disease, like you're in your 30s or 40s, and you die, and you still got kids at home who need to be taken care of, then I think a life insurance policy probably makes some sense. But but for like for me, I'm in my 60s, my kids are grown, they're married, they're doing their own thing. I'm not married. So I'm not giving. I'm not going to give my ex. I'm not going to have a life insurance to give anything to my ex or whatever. You know what I mean? So I think once you get to a certain age and you're in a certain situation, life situation or whatever, I don't know if life insurance is really necessary. But I think unless it's just something that I think there are some type of policies that are for just for funerals or whatever, to handle your funeral arrangements. It's things like that, because those things can be a burden to a family too. All of a sudden you die and then they're like, okay, now we got to bury the person. And you can spend many thousands of dollars doing that. So anyhow, I don't mean for this show to get kind of gruesome and dark, but it seems like it is. But hey, like I say, it's maybe the sign of the times that we're living in. We're getting these dark thoughts and darker, conversations. MJ Daniel says Democrats have been fixing Republican disasters since FDR. Yep. And the Republicans have really made it their kind of goal in life to repeal or reverse as much of the New Deal as possible, and they've been chipping away at it ever since. Spinning Monkey says, I literally have no idea. I have a surgical scar he left me still on my abdomen. It's a fucking massive, but it was on the NHS, so I don't have a debt that's killing me. Well, there you go. At least the debt won't kill you. Maybe whatever was in there might kill you, but at least the debt won't kill you. MJ Daniel, I want to go to church. I go outside on a clear night. Sandy Folt says the guy upstairs never told the landlord he was moving out. So he just skipped out. Now, I noticed I haven't been outside yet today, but yesterday when I went to work, there was a bunch of furniture kind of all stacked up and and there was some canned food, canned goods. There was like a bed. There was a nice little table. There was some other things. And so I was like, I was going to work, and I just thought, I wonder is someone moving in or someone moving out? And then when I got home at about 3 o'clock this morning, that stuff was all still sitting there. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I was like, can we take it? Can we take any of this stuff? Because there was this nice little end table. I was like, can we? But I just, I didn't take anything. I don't know. Didn't seem right. But I was like, did someone just? I was thinking maybe someone got evicted and they just cleared all their stuff and stuck it down there, out here in the yard. I don't know. But there was a nice little end table. I probably should have grabbed it because it was 3 a.m. and there was no one there. No one would have seen me. But I don't know. I just didn't feel right because I was like, I don't know. Are they going to come and get this stuff or what? DBD says, TJ, Candace played DJ Tanner on Full House with Bob Saget and John Stamos. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that show. I guess, yeah, I forgot that was her, like the cute little blonde girl. I guess weren't they all blonde? Weren't they all cute little blonde girls? The Righteous Gemstones, right, Jolie. I was going to bring that up, and I brought that show up before. The Righteous Gemstones, and it's a great show that illustrates the money that these TV preachers can make. And I realize Righteous Gemstones, it's a comedy, it's fictional, but there's a lot of truth in that show. And actually, I don't think they went far enough. I think they made, and here's a bit of a spoiler alert, maybe, like the main, or I guess you would say the patriarch of that family, of the Gemstone family. I guess wasn't that their names, the Gemstone? Was played by John Goodman, right? And I think they made him maybe a little too sympathetic or a little too nice, maybe. I don't know. But certainly the Walton Goggins character, he was like, what, cousin Bobby Joe or whatever his name was. He certainly, they didn't hold back on him, on being this real dirtbag grifter. And then the kids, the kids of John Goodman were all kind of just goofy and dopey. And so it kind of it's a comedy. It was really funny. It's a funny show, but I think in reality, these people aren't funny, dopey, goofy people. I think they're truly evil people who have no compunction about or against taking money from people who probably shouldn't be giving their money away, from elderly seniors who are on fixed budgets and fixed incomes, have no compunction taking the money from them to make them rich, so they can build huge mansions and their own theme parks and have private jets and live this really life of royalty. The real people, the Joel Osteens of the world, they're not goofy and dopey and fun loving, or I don't think there's anything redeeming like in the Royal Gemstones, which I think is a really great show, and I love the show, and I appreciate what they were trying to do, I guess, and kind of exposing that the grift, I guess, but the real ones in real life, they're not funny and dopey, and there's nothing redeeming about them. They're genuinely evil grifters who would take money from your great grandmother who's living on a very fixed budget, fixed income, and have no fucking regret or guilt about it whatsoever, as long as it goes to them being able to buy another mansion or another yacht or a jet. Paul Burrow says, I belong to the round church. That way the devil can't corner me. Sandy Fold says, I go to church every Sunday ever since I had started the bridge church I like going to. I think that's great. I have no problem against people going to church. The only thing I have a problem with is people who want to force their beliefs onto other people. We shouldn't be doing that. And I'm not saying you or anyone in this chat is doing that. I'm just speaking in general. I don't think anyone has the right to force your religious views on anyone else. And I was going to say something else. Okay, about religion. I have nothing against it. Yeah, force it, and there was something I was going to say, but then someone walked by and was talking, and it threw me off. And I guess as long as they aren't ripping people off like these Joel Osteens. And it's not just old Joel Osteen. I mean, he's the one that always comes to mind, but there's a whole bunch of them. There's probably hundreds of them, if not thousands of them, that are just maybe not to the level of a Joel Osteen, because he's that guy's a multi-millionaire, like the Royal Gemstones when they were multi-millionaires. But there's so many over time drifters and charlatans that just use God and use the Bible to rip people off. Sandy Folds, my son does not believe in God. Well, he's not the only one. Lots of people don't believe in God. Lots of people do. Lots of people don't. So. DPD5844 says, to everyone in the chat who is able-bodied, I am appealing to you to reach out to the elderly and disabled by taking them to the polls, helping them fill out paperwork to vote. We need all hands on deck. That's a great idea, DPD. That is absolutely a great idea. Sandy Fold says, most churches have tea parties for the ladies. They have men's groups. They always have good things going on. Big Hook says, your life insurance is having a job, TJ. Really? That's my life insurance? Sandy Fold says, TJ, if you think God is so cool, then how come you don't believe in him? I said Jesus is cool. I didn't say God was cool. Anna Moore says, yes, DPD, my church uses their church bus to carry the elderly to the voting polls. DPD says, get the insurance policy regardless of your age. Why? Because dying is expensive. That falls on your family. That's true. And I did bring that up after as an afterthought. Like getting a policy that would help cover funeral expenses, then that's fine. But I guess I was thinking of some big life insurance that's going to pay off like $2 million or something, or $3 million. So you're paying for a life insurance policy that's just going to pay, I don't know, $1 million or whatever. I don't know. I don't even know. I haven't even looked into them. I think that's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, if you get one that's going to cover your funeral expenses, then I like I already said. But I know you probably wrote this before I said that, and now I'm just now getting into it after I already said it. But yeah, you can get a small life insurance policy that would cover funeral expenses. But you don't need to get one that's going to like pay out $2 million, because then how much you're paying for that insurance policy for one like that. Barbara Nicholas says, the only funeral I'm looking forward to is tacos. And now I want tacos. Sandy Fold says, my brother had screwed up my stepdad's will so badly. Yeah, if you're going to do a will, have it done, get a lawyer. I mean, I know it's costly. There might be some free legal aid around. I know we have one here in Vegas. That's what helped me get through my latest troubles here with the department. And they cover all kinds of things. So check out in your communities. There's probably free legal aid or at least low cost legal aid, something that can help you get a will made, or a living will, whatever you want to call it. There's probably some ways that are affordable to do it, but make sure it's done with the help of either a lawyer or a paralegal or whatever, but someone who knows what they're doing, and so it can be done right, so that some in-law or a relative can't come in and try to bully their way through it or whatever. Joey says, agree, TPD, everyone should have at least a $10,000 policy to cover their own funeral expenses. Crazy how expensive it is just to die. Yeah, and I did add that on. Mr. Spock says it's free if it's still there, TJ. It's Ricky's rule from the Trailer Park Boys. Okay. Uncle Baby Billy. Yeah, Petrozzi. That was what it was. Yeah. So Petrozzi's watched the show, Royal Gemstones. DPD says, I would also suggest investing in a 401k plan as soon as you enter the workforce. Even if you have been working for years, it's never too late because every penny counts towards retirement. And that's if it's available. Not every place has 401ks, but yeah, if you work at a place where you can, I did with the post office, did pretty well when I was there. I was there for 12 years. And there's it's the matching funds that really are really great. And so I guess maybe depending on the type of 401k that your employer has, there's different matching and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, 401ks are great if it's available to you. Not everyone has it available to them. Petrozzi said, my grandma used to send money to Oral Roberts. Yeah, good old Oral Roberts. Mad Max says, what if God smoked cannabis, hit the bong like some of us, drove a tie-dyed microbus, and he subscribes to Rolling Stone, sung to the tune of What If God Was One of Us? What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. That was a good song. Big Hook says Joel Osteen didn't allow flood victims into his church when they lost their homes. Yeah, because he just had new carpet put in, and God forbid, right? God forbid. Barbara Nicholas, the Baker's air-conditioned doghouse. Well, that one there, I kind of give them they lived in a very hot, humid area there. I kind of give them a pass on that one. Daniel, haven't been inside a church in 25 years, and I'm a better Christian than most Republicans today. Jolie says, J-Rock is my favorite TPB, Trailer Park Boy, I guess, character. You guys talk about it. I've heard the show. I've never watched it. I think I've got it on my Netflix watch list, and I've just never gotten to it. Mr. Spock is asking, who's next to be fired? Any bets? Statistically, it would be Bondi. Is Bondi the favorite? She's the favorite to be the next one? Again, I think these people should be fired, but again, don't expect any replacement to be better. Jolie says, Trucker John has channel memberships, super chats. You can also support the show by liking, subscribing, and sharing. Or you can buy me a coffee, and there's the buy me a coffee link. And we also have the PayPal account right there, link, which, again, saved my bacon, you guys who donated there a few weeks ago. And I'm so grateful and thankful for that. We do have the channel memberships. They start as low as $1.99 a month. Good deal there. I think that's pretty good value. And I understand times are tough, times are hard, and if you can't do any of that, I don't want you doing any of that. But you can always like and subscribe and share the show, which is absolutely 100% free. And it helps the show. We've got over 4,370 subscribers. Would really love to get to 5,000. sometime soon. I'd love to get to 5K. Let's get to 5K. 5K all the way. Am I still on, right? Mrs. Block said the microphone assassin, so I'm worried that my mic stopped working, but I think I'm still on. I think you guys can still hear me. Aaron West says, true story. My friend Victor was a full frontal nude body double in the Righteous Gemstones. I didn't look. That's funny. Now I'm trying to think. I'm thinking of any scenes where there was full frontal nudity, and all I can think of, I don't remember, but all I can think of it was probably, the one brother, what's his face, who's always like lifting and working out, and there was some serious gay vibes. And finally, spoiler alert, I guess he finally came out at the end there. But I don't know, but maybe that wasn't it. Maybe because there was lots of sex scenes and stuff, I guess. Straight and hetero. I mean, that's the same thing. I don't know, but I'm just trying to think of where I don't even remember, but I must have blocked it out of my memory. My memory, I've just blocked it right out. That sinful stuff, that sinful full frontal nudity, I've blocked it all out. Anyway, speaking of liking, subscribing, sharing, all that stuff, we are right now 0 for 5 on the goal. Anna Moore says the Bible describes the charlatans as ministers of righteousness who only want your money and don't care about their followers' pain and finances. Big Hook says donate your body to science and allow new doctors to learn by dissecting your anatomy and becoming better doctors. I have an organ donor list on my driver's license so others can be helped by my passing. I've always been an organ donor on my driver's license thingy. I've always put that down as a yes. Anthony Reminiak. Haven't seen Anthony Reminiak in a long, long time. Thanks for coming on in. I appreciate you. Anthony says Christy Nolan was fired today. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Yeah, we've been talking about that. And good. I'm glad she deserves it. But the knucklehead that we're going to get is not going to be any better, but we'll fire that one too, if need be. DVDs, here's sort of a list of some of the televangelist grifters. There's TD Jakes, who I don't think I've heard of, but Kenneth Copeland I've heard of. Creflo Dollar, and I think his wife, right? They're always doing, trying to get those dollars coming in. Joyce Myers, yep, and Joel Osteen. Yeah. Mad Max says they're creating a job for Noam. She's still going to be getting a fat paycheck. Damn it. She needs to be walking the streets begging for money. John Glad's here. I'm always glad to see John Glad. Thanks for being here. Aaron West says that her cat is laying on the keyboard. Anthony Reminiak says Patel should be let go with his wasteful ways. He used FPS assets out of proper uses. Yeah, he's another one that should go. Yeah, he's using the jet just to go on dates with his girlfriend. Shit like that. Definitely. He might be one of the next ones where someone was saying, was asking for bets on who the next one's going to be. And Pam Bondi was probably the next one. Kash Patel might be on that short list too. I think they've got him pretty much dead to rights of all the wasteful spending. Jolie says Trucker John makes clips of all his epic intros. They are great for sharing. Thank you, Jolie. MJ Daniel, never heard of that show. You never heard of the Royal Gemstones? Well, it's an HBO show, right? Pardonnez-moi. I believe that was an HBO show. So if you don't have HBO, then it's kind of a hassle, I guess. But excuse me, I'm over here taking care of some business. But anyhow, I see Boston Brian is ending a show. If anyone's in the chat at Boston Brian, tell him to come over here and hang out for a bit. Anyhow, what was I talking about? Oh, Royal Gemstones. Yeah, it's an HBO show. It's done now. They've finished it. They did what, like 3 or 4 seasons or something. It was a really good show. I really enjoyed it. If you like, what's the guy who created it? What's his face? What's that guy's name? He did he's done a bunch of shows, a bunch of TV shows. What was that one, like Down and Out and whatever? I don't know. He's done a bunch of shows. If you like that guy, who I can't remember his name, and I can't tell you the shows he's done. If you like that guy, then I guess you'd like it. Sandy says, TJ, when are you going to go back on live stream Monday through Saturday again? Probably not till I get a car. I have to get a car so that I can not be on a bus 4 hours a day. That's why I'm not doing the shows Monday through Saturday. Once I get a car and I can get to work in 20 minutes, then I can have more time to do more shows, more live streams. Big Hook says, rumor has it no one was going to run for Senate afterwards. Well, you know what? Good luck on that. I'm not sure if it's a good time for any Republican to run for anything. We've been seeing these. If there's one thing that gives me some hope, we've been we've gone kind of down a little dark road today, a little dark and gloomy, a little bit, not too much, but talking about some darker subjects about death and dying and all that stuff. And if there's a God and not God and all that. But if there's one thing that kind of gives me hope, it is seeing these special elections where Democrats have been flipping seats and doing it with huge sort of like flips from Republican to Democrat. Really big sea change, I guess you'd say. And I was watching. I guess it was after. Did you guys watch it? Was it right after Hal? And they sent everyone to that Cliff Schechter show with Schuster and Schechter, and they had Jonathan Larson on. And then after Jonathan Larson, they had a representative, sort of around Jolie's neck of the woods, Kelly Thompson, who's running for a House seat, U.S. House. I guess she's in northern Indiana. I think Jolie might be southern Indiana. But anyhow, from Indiana, Kelly Thompson. And I really almost fell instantly in love with her. I think she's great. She's running in the 3rd district. So I hope she wins. Of course, I hope she wins. Not just because she's a Democrat, but she really had a good head on her shoulders. Really, Danny McBride. That's it. Thank you, Jolie. But when we've seen these elections, Democrats getting, we saw in the intro the polling about Texas and how there's been a swing there about how more Democrats are voting than Republicans in this latest election here, in this latest primary, and how traditionally it's been like Republicans leading that category 60-40 as far as more Republicans voting than Democrats, and now it's flipped to 51-49 or something like that in favor of the Democrats. So these things give me hope. seeing so many of these special elections being won by Democrats and flipping some seats and turning districts around, that gives me hope. That really gives me some hope that we're going to see huge Democratic wins in November, and I think it's going to carry on to 2028. And like DPD has said, about helping to get elderly people to vote, get anyone that drive them to the polls. Say, hey, let's go vote. So yeah, that's my hope. I see hope there. I see a ray of sunshine, a ray of hope. Yeah, Danny McBride. That's the guy who wrote most of those episodes, produced, directed, created the Royal Gemstones. If you like Danny McBride, then you'll probably like the Royal Gemstones. Sandy Foles says TJ is next to be fired by Trump. I wouldn't put it past him. Minjay Daniel, speaking about Christy Nome, can she run for Senate from prison? Squirrel Girl with a $10 super chat. Yippee, Squirrel Girl. Thank you so much. Put us on the board. Let's go. Got a thumbs up for me and a heart. Squirrel Girl says, confund. Sorry, haven't been talking, have migraine, but hi, TJ and trucklers. Thank you, Squirrel Girl. Car fund. Yes, car fund. Let's get that going. Let's get it going. Let's do it. Let's get that car so I can go to work and in 20 minutes and not be on the bus for 4 hours, and I can do more live streaming. Now, I do have a thing that's coming up that I have to take care of. I have a storage facility in California. And once again, this seems to happen. I get behind in the payment, and now it's going to be up for auction again. And I owe, the balance is like $786. And I think the auction is going to be on Wednesday. So I'm either going to have to come up with the money and pay it off, which is what I've been doing. I get behind and I pay it off. I get behind and I pay it off. Or try to get down there and empty it out. And the thing is, I don't have a car. It's the whole thing. But what I've been thinking about doing is maybe just renting a van before Wednesday and just going down there and cleaning it out. And what I think what they'll do if I tell them I want to just go and clean it out, I don't have to pay the whole $786. It's like a third of it or something like that. So I might just do that if I can swing it. If I can get a van, if I can rent a van, go down there, clean out my storage, bring it back up here, the stuff. And I know people are like, oh, just, you don't need that shit. Well, you don't know that. You don't know what I need and know what I don't need. I mean, I've kept it all these years for a reason. There's a lot of really family photos, family videos, and shit like that. I'm not willing to part with. So, so that's the next. That's the next sort of. I've always got something going on. Last month it was the rent. Now this month it's the storage rent, and I need to either. I'm either going to pay the balance due or I'm going to try to get down there and get the shit out of there. Big Hook says Trump could run for POTUS from jail, and maggots are dumb enough to elect him. They are. They are dumb enough. Yeah, Jolie's 9th district. Yeah, Kelly Thompson is third district. I think she was up more north from where you're at. But she's really good, and I hope she wins. She seemed very good on that show, anyhow. But thank you, Squirrel Girl. I do appreciate that. Big Hook says, I thought I heard noises from the attic. I don't know if it picked up in the mic, but they've been doing some sort of, like, some kind of work outside. There's banging and clanging of tools. Various tools. Barbara Nicholas, if you do donate to Trucker, try to use PayPal so YouTube doesn't take those half of it. Well, you know, I appreciate that, Barbara. I appreciate that. Yeah, PayPal. I don't know. Do they take anything? I don't even know if they take anything or not. I forget. If they do, it's a very small amount. YouTube does not take almost half. It's like 30% or 33% or something like that. I don't really have an issue with that, because I think YouTube, you know, this is their machine that we're using to get this, to do these shows, to do these live streams, to put our videos and all that kind of stuff. So I don't really have a problem with that. I mean, maybe 33% or whatever it is. I forget exactly what it is. That's a pretty big chunk. Maybe that could be lower a little bit, but I'm not going to begrudge YouTube for that. You know, I mean, these things cost money to run a big platform like this, a big you know, an organization like YouTube. So I don't really have I'm not going to begrudge YouTube that, but it is true. If you want to donate to me and get the money to me right away, immediately, PayPal is the best way to go. PayPal is the best way. But like I say, I'm not going to begrudge YouTube, because if it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't be on here at all. I wouldn't be doing a live stream. I wouldn't be doing a show for this particular live stream for like 3 years now, and for what have I been on here, like 15 years in total, maybe longer. And all of the thousands of videos I've posted, I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't have been able to post and get videos out to show people my trucking and my going across country, or just whatever I do, you know, which I like to do. It's become like a passion. I enjoy making videos, and I enjoy putting them out there, even though a lot of times only 18 people will watch them, or 5. Sometimes I'll get lucky and I'll have one where 300,000 people will watch it, like the Kamala Harris one. So, but it's fun. I enjoy doing it. It's a passion of mine now, and so none of that would be possible if it wasn't for YouTube being in existence and having this platform. So I'm not going to begrudge them for their taking their cut, but yeah, PayPal is great because it's instant. And the thing about also with YouTube, besides them taking their cut, they only pay once a month, and it's usually about the 21st of the month. So, so there's that. But like I say, PayPal is instant, and I don't think I don't even remember. I should remember because you guys donated just a few weeks ago, and I think there is a small fee that they take out, but it's not very much. It's much less than what YouTube did. Anyhow, but thank you, Barbara Nicholas, for that, and thank you, Squirrel Girl. Josh Shees, could you store some of your subject? No, no, for a number of reasons, but they have absolutely no room. They're worse than me as far as like hoarding and like I'm pretty well organized, and you know, I don't have a lot of junk laying around, and I try to keep things pretty non-cluttered and stuff. My kids and my ex, I think because I think they get it from her. Yeah, no, that's not. There's no room. They got so much shit in both their houses. DPD, could your daughter clean it up for you? That's the thing I was thinking about too, DPD. I was thinking about having my daughter, because she is a lot closer. But the thing is, she works, and I would have to do it this weekend. I don't know. I'm just trying to swing it logistically. the logistics of it. But I was thinking if she could do that, and she would do that for me. My son, I don't know. It's hard to get him to do stuff. It's harder. But my daughter is like, yeah, let's do this. But she works Monday through Friday, so it would have to be sometime this weekend. And I'm not sure. I really haven't talked to her in a while since the last time I was behind, which was a few months ago. But so I haven't really talked about this subject. But that was an option I was thinking about too, that she could go down there and we could even do a FaceTime thing and she could just show me the shit and I could go, yeah, keep that, make 2 piles. Okay, yeah, definitely keep that and you can get rid of that. Keep that, get rid of that. Keep that, or something like that. That's what I was thinking, but it's a possibility. It's a possibility. Maybe be nice to get my daughter and my son to do that. But I would, if I could do it the way I want to do it, I would rather just rent the van myself, go down there. If my kids could meet me down there and help me load the van up, that would be great. And then just drive everything back here, and then I'll just talk about clutter. Then I'll just put everything in this apartment, and then I'll go through it. Return the van. And then I'll just go through everything, and I'll make my keep pile and my throwaway pile and my giveaway pile or whatever. I'll have my 3 or 4 piles, and I'll just go through it up here. But the storage that I have, it's the smallest one. I think it's 10 feet by 8 feet or something like that. So it should all fit. It would all fit in here, but it would be, like I say, it would be totally. It would fill up the main part of this room here, but that's okay. Then I'll just go through it and go from there. Big Hook says, yeah, but YouTube makes major money from ads as well as the fact that they really don't have any competition. Well, that's called capitalism, and they're capitalists, I guess. Like I said, I'm not going to begrudge them, but PayPal is the better way, probably. But anyhow, Sandy Fold says maybe you should have your viewers help you raise money to help you get a car like you did, right? Well, we'd have the car fund. Squirrel Girl has this car fund going. Yeah, so if anyone wants to help me get a car. Now, I've been looking at Facebook Marketplace, and I don't have the money right now, but I will have it pretty soon, I think. On the 21st, on the next YouTube paycheck, I might have enough money to get, there was a car, I think for only I think they were asking $800 for it. And it was like a Mitsubishi Diamante or one of those. It looked really nice, according to the description. It was owned by this person's parents. They're still alive. I guess they got a different car. It's not like they died or anything. But they were like the original owners, and it looks like they were. I mean, it looks really clean. But then she said it's probably gonna need a new transmission. So I know you guys are saying don't buy it, but I don't know. It looked really clean. I would like to look into that one because I could probably maybe since it does need I could drive it and see how the transmission feels because they said it still drives and everything, but they just felt like it might need they didn't say a new transmission. They said it might need transmission work. So, I don't know how much it is to rebuild transmissions. I don't know if it's better just, if you could even rebuild it. If it's not rebuildable, then you'd have to get a new transmission. Those are usually like a couple grand or something. But so I don't know. But there's this car I would like to look at, and I would like to drive it and see how it drives. And if I could pick that up for $500 or $600, it might be worth it, even with the transmission problem. But I have to drive it and just see how bad it is. Elizabeth Martinez is here. Buenas tardes, John. Hello to all. Hello, Elizabeth Martinez. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. I do appreciate you. DPD says, I'll begrudge them all, TJ. They own Google. Why do they need to take 33%? What, so they can donate more to the Epstein ballroom or pay the orange pedophile more money? What the fuck? Begrudge them that. That's the stuff you should begrudge them of. Don't begrudge them. Well, no, I mean, if you're gonna begrudge them, yeah, go ahead and tell them to lower their fee. I think 25% is more appropriate, or 20%. I think that'd be more appropriate. But anyhow, and yeah, go ahead and you should write them or call them or whatever and tell them that you don't appreciate them donating to Trump and all that shit, or any Republicans for that matter. Let them know. Let them know how you feel. I think that shit is important. I think that does carry an impact. We should let these companies like Google and whatever, when we find out that they're contributing to campaigns like Trump or Republican causes and things, we should let them know that we find that very offensive. Barbara Nicholas says, yeah, 2.9% for PayPal. Yeah, I thought that's what it was. I mean, I thought it was, I didn't know. I thought it was something small like that. Mr. Spock, my house is my storage unit, 3 motorcycles and parts and tools. DPD says, and whatever you don't want, you could sell it, TJ, and use the proceeds to put towards your car. That's true. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Anthony Romaniak says, one of the Jan 6ers got life imprisonment for child sex abuse today. Now it's Trump's turn. Wow. I hadn't heard about that. So good. That's good news. I hope those were state charges so that Trump can't pardon him. Josh C. says, I recently helped a friend moving from his ex's house into a 1-bedroom apartment. He has stacks upon stacks of boxes in there. That's what this place would look like if I get everything in here. Teresa TAK is here. Hey, Teresa, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. I appreciate you. Appreciate you coming by and saying hi. I do appreciate you. David Weiss from Denver's here. Hey, David Weiss, good to see you. Dave says, TJ, do you have an OBD11 code reader? I do not. For car shopping. I don't know if that's the one. I just saw like an ad. I don't know if that was the one. But I just saw an ad for that. Because, the algorithm, they know that I've been looking at cars, I guess. And so now that popped up in one of my feeds, probably, I don't know which one it was, which social media thing it was, but where there was this reader for code reader that you could buy or get or whatever. I do not have one, but I saw that. I just saw that ad, I think, this morning. And I was like, yeah, that would be cool to have. It could come in handy. DPD says, TJ, have it checked out by a mechanic first. Don't end up on the people's court. I know I'm all up in your business, but I'm nosy like that when I generally care about someone. Well, thank you, DPD. I appreciate your caring about me, and that's not up in my business. That's good. That's good sound advice, and that is good advice. To have a mechanic check it out, and I think the people that put that ad, because a lot of those ads are really shady and deceptive. The person that put this ad up, they seem to be pretty upfront about the issue, but still, yeah, you should still, all the more reason, I guess, to have a mechanic look at it and just see, like, okay, look, here's the transmission. Is this something you could rebuild? To put a rebuild kit in it? If not, how long do you think it'll last like this? Can I get a? Because for me, if I bought the car for 500 or even or 800 or 700, if I got a good year's use out of it, back and forth to work every day for a year, I think I would be happy. I know, that might be a weird mentality. Maybe, other people might think that's crazy, but I'm just thinking. So, what's does it need to be replaced? Can you rebuild it? Do a rebuild? Does it just need some magic formula? Like, they have those mystery oils or whatever some people put in some of these things. Will it, if I just baby it, will it work? Will it run me? Will it get me to work for 6 months or a year? What do you think? I would ask, those are the type of things I would ask the mechanic and make the evaluation from there, So it's like, that's a good advice. Have the mechanic look at it or whatever. Robert Perez is here from down San Diego way. Hello, Robert. Robert says, hey, Trucker John and lovely trucklers in the lounge. Thanks for popping on in. Thanks for popping by. Good to see you. That's right. Teresa reminds us that the time change is this weekend, 1 hour ahead. So that'll be Saturday night, Sunday morning, probably. We're going to spring ahead, which always sucks. I like it when we fall back because it's like you got an hour, like you get an extra hour. Now we got to spring forward and you like lose an hour. It always sucks. Barbara Nicholas says tacos giving more BS on news right now. Oh yeah, that's all that comes out of that man's mouth is BS. Hey, look, right now I have a channel. I'm going to endorse a guy. I really love this guy. It's called Sidetrack Adventures. And he does a lot of stuff in the Southwest, mainly like California, Arizona, Nevada. And I've even seen him go up to Oregon and Washington. This is the Northwest, but where he just drives and he has he's got a nice little camera, and he goes and drives through and walks through all these little like landmarks, like old historic like trails from the 1800s that you can still see that are still there. Isn't that amazing? Like there's a trail that it was either used by Native Americans or it was used by Western settlers or whatever, and you can still see the trail to this day. That's amazing to me. And there's old ruins of old buildings and stuff. I love the guy. I love this channel. It's called Sidetrack Adventures. Maybe you guys have heard of it. The guy who does it, his name is Steve. He always wears a San Diego Padres hat. Right now, he's at Antelope Peak, which I think might be in Arizona somewhere. It's just now coming to an end. Well, I better thumbs up it real quick. But anyhow, Sidetrack Adventures. I'm highly recommending Sidetrack Adventures. If you want to take a break from politics, sometimes we need to take a little break, a little mental break from Donald Trump and all of his horse shit, his pedophilia, his rapey behavior, him and Stephen Miller, the Nazi. If you're tired of all the Nazis and the pedophilia and the rape and the murder, the bombing of schoolhouses full of girls, and like, if you're tired of all that shit, go watch Sidetrack Adventures. That's what I've been doing lately. I have been taking sort of mental breaks. I've been watching lots of car videos, and not that I can do this, but I'm living vicariously through these guys. There's this one show, I forget the name of it. I think it's Driveway Finds, and it's these two guys. One was a shop teacher, one used to be a student, and now they're getting cars that they find, old cars that you look like they could never ever run again, and they drag them into their shop and they rebuild them from the ground up, and they get them running. And a lot of them, they're not like fully restored. They just get them running so they look good enough and they run great. I'm living vicariously through those guys, I guess, because I need a car. And I would love if I had my own shop and all the tools, and I don't have the know-how. If I had just half the know-how that these guys have, then maybe I could learn the rest. I would love to find an old jalopy out in the field and drag it to my shop and fix it. So I'm living vicariously through these. I've been watching a lot of these car videos where they take these old usually they're muscle cars or whatever. Like there was this one I watched the other day. I don't remember the name of it, but there was no dialogue at all whatsoever. This guy, it was really cool. It just showed him, he found an old caddy, like a 65 Cadillac Coupe de Ville or whatever it was. And I don't know if he bought it. I don't know if he just found it, but he brought it in on, I guess, on a flatbed to his property. And it just showed and it had like a dented front left headlight, the whole kind of headlight, piece. And the front bumper had some damage to it. It had a minor body damage. Other than that, it was really straight. But it was just dirty and filthy. It had been sitting out somewhere. At one point, he even pulled out with his needle nose pliers in between the seat, and there was like a plastic trim piece. He pulled out this sort of almost like fossilized or just dead, like it might have been a rat or a mouse at some point. Really, all you could kind of see was the tail, but anyhow, he pulled that out. So it was kind of gross, but and there was no dialogue. All it was just all camera shots, just showing all the work he did to it. And it was, at the end, it was beautiful, but it wasn't fully restored. He didn't repaint it. He just washed it. He thoroughly washed and cleaned everything. He rebuilt the exhaust system. He did mechanical work. He replaced, it looked like the master cylinder. He drained all the fuel, put new fuel in there. He put a new fuel filter. I think he rebuilt the carb. It showed him doing all this mechanical work as well as the cleanup work and the body work. I mean, the guy was great. I just was wishing I had all those tools. I was wishing I had all that know-how, that knowledge, that skill. It's a great skill to have. And he have all of that those skills and knowledge. And he took this old car that had been sitting in a field, and he brought it back to life. And then it showed him running around town, right, driving town in it, and it was a beautiful fucking car. And it wasn't repainted. It still had some old rust spots on it and some stuff like that, but still, it was beautiful. It was like running great, sounding great. The interior was looking great. It was all cleaned up and shiny, and it was just great. So I'm like, man, I wish I could do that shit. But I don't have the know-how. I don't have the tools. I don't have the space. But so that's what's great about YouTube. Okay, I'm sorry. That's what's great about them. I can live vicariously through some of these other creators and watch these car videos. And I can watch Steve here on this adventure show. He's somewhere in Arizona now, walking on a trail that's probably been around since 1800. So there it is. Julie's got the link to Sidetrack Adventures. Yeah, if you want to take a little break from all this shit, go to Sidetrack Adventures. Go to Driveway Finds, or even go to Old Trucker John. I've got tons and tons of me out on the road truck driving, way before I was really political. You can do that too. Anyhow, spring back, fall ahead. No, it's spring forward, fall back. Sandy Foltz, do you get paid for doing live stream? Not. I only. Well, you know what? Since I am monetized, okay. Of course, whatever you guys donate through your super chats, super stickers, of course, PayPal, buy me a coffee. Okay, that's from you guys. That's from the generosity of you guys. But once you become monetized, then you can get what's called ad revenue. And and I forget what it is. It's just like certain like pennies or per click or they have all this like click through rate and watch rate. So what that means is the more that people watch your videos, the more money you'll make. So when you have someone like Midas Touch who has 6 million subscribers and they have tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of views, they make a lot of money off of ad revenue. Lots and lots of money. Now, I do make money off of ad revenue. I'm trying to think how much I make. I think it's probably like $2 or $3 a month or something like that. It's very low. Or maybe $5. I don't know. I would have to look into my analytics, but it's right now at the level that I'm at with 4,370 subscribers and with the amount of views that I get on my videos, which in a typical month, well, it could be 20 or 30,000 or 40,000 views sometimes, but I guess maybe averages around, I don't know. I don't even remember, 20 or 25,000 views a month, or maybe 30,000 views a month or something. And it just comes down to just like maybe $3 or something that I would make in ad revenue. So I do get paid, well, not just for doing the live stream, but for just in total, the total of all my, is it output or input or whatever, but of all my videos that I make, and so that includes live streams, that includes shorts, that includes this videos, long videos, anything that I put on here, when you add it all up, then it probably adds up to about, I don't know, $3 a month, maybe $3 or $4 a month, if that. I'm not sure. I don't think it's any more than that. So in that sense, I get paid for it, but it's all based on views and people seeing the ads, I guess. Josh C says, when I was used car shopping a few months ago, I was seeing a few decent ones starting around 4 to 5K with high mileage. Everything cheaper was junk. Yeah, I know. Josh C says, you probably have a better selection in the desert. Oh, because that's what we were talking about. Like I said, even if it's not the best, I mean, I might try to find something. I'm trying to find something for under $1,000, and I realize, you're not going to get probably, a great car or whatever. But if I can just get something that will be reliable enough to get me back and forth to work every day for, let's say, at least 6 months or hopefully a year, then I'll be happy. And in the meantime, that will enable me to go to work more, actually, because taking a 4-hour or 2-hour each way, 4 hours a day on the bus is not appealing, and it makes it really hard for me to motivate myself to go to work. If I had the car and it's like I say, it's a 20-minute drive, I can go to work. I will go to work more. I will go to work as much as I can. Because remember, I am a part-time flex, and I am supposed to only work 30 hours a week. I can work more, but then I might run out of hours because they only allot you 1,380 hours per 6-month period. They break the year into 2 6-month periods, so you get 1,380 in the first 6 months, 1,380 in the second 6 months. But anyhow. So if I had a car and it's kind of junky, but it's at least runs good enough to get me back and forth to work for 6 months or a year, the idea would be that I would go to work more, save up more money, and then buy a better car. Maybe find the $4,000 or $5,000 car that would be, halfway decent or something. That's sort of the plan or the idea. Mr. Spot, buy a Chinese EV car. Again, right now, the idea is just to get me something that will get me to work for the next 6 months to a year, I guess, Buy a Flintstone car. Yeah, that would really do me good. Mr. Spock, I'm only joking. I want to see what TJ says. Um, what did I say? I think I said that would do me good or something. Jolie says, yep, and be sure to turn on live chat replay. It's hilarious. DBD says, did anyone know we have boots on the ground in Ecuador? I did not. I did not know that. What's going on in Ecuador? Jolie says, I like going back and watching old TJ live streams. I missed the truck. Oh, yeah, I know. I think Jolie misses that truck more than I miss that truck. Yeah. Josh C's heard it, DPD. Anna Moore heard it. Scully Pop! Hey, Scully. Scully Pop, you should come out to Vegas and see Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. If you've got a few extra $100 laying around, it's ridiculous the prices, but anyhow, I just thought you might like it. Anna Moore says they are on a suicide mission, and I'm sure they are aware of it. Sad and shameful. Who's on a suicide? Our boots are on a suicide mission in Ecuador? And there is, Jolie put the link to Scully Pop's channel. Scully Pop, very cool, very interesting show over there at Scully Pop. Always very, the visuals, very interesting. Go check them out. Robert Nichols, you mean I won't have to shag you out the door? Right. Once I get the car, I will just be hopping in my car. No shagging needed. And this is what you want to do. Alvin Stoop said, hello, TJ. Hello, Alvin Stoop. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Scully says that'd be super cool. Have you seen any videos of it? There's lots of YouTube videos of it, of the Sphere and of Wizard of Oz, and I've seen a few. Of course, nothing's like actually being there, and I haven't been inside there yet. Someday I'm going to go inside. I would like to see Wizard of Oz, and I think the cheapest tickets I've seen, I think, are like a little, like $100 or $130 or something, 120, which I think is kind of outrageous. I'm not sure if they have a Nevada, a local discount, because I know when they used to do that Postcards from Earth movie, and they did have a discount for locals or for, I guess, for Nevada residents, and it knocked off like $20 or something. So you could get tickets for $90 or something to see that thing. It's expensive. It's not like just going to the movies. You talk about, going down to the Cinemark and complaining about paying, $12 for a ticket. Go to the Sphere. I understand this isn't just this isn't even like IMAX. From what I've heard, this is, a million times even better and than more technical than IMAX. But it's not cheap. So to see the Wizard of Oz there, the original, it's taken from the original Wizard of Oz, the one with Judy Garland and all that. From I think that was made in 38 or 39. They've taken that, and then they've used I don't know if it's CGI or AI or whatever, but they've had to build out from those original film to fill the rest of the screen. And there's all kinds of effects, and they've got like as you're watching it, they'll blow like wind and stuff and all that kind of stuff. So anyhow, it looks really interesting. I would like to see it. I would like to put the money together and go see that before it leaves. But I did hear that they're going to come back with another version of it where they expand it, because they did. I think they said they took out like 20 or 30 minutes from the original movie. They had to, so they shortened the movie, and that's, I guess, because it's so costly to make this thing that they took 20 minutes out of it. But I heard that they are going to come back with an extended version where they're going to put some of those scenes back in, and I think it's because it's very expensive and it's probably time consuming. So to do that. But they've seen that this is so popular. I heard that they've made like $600 million, or they've sold $600 million in tickets to this thing that I don't think has even been a year yet that it's been playing. I think they've made $600 million in ticket sales. So they've got enough money now that they're going to expand some of that movie back. Or put some of the original back in and do their movie magic. So I would like to see it. I'd like to, save up. Sunny Folks, TJ, you should do live stream in your cab when you're ready to end your shift. I've done that a few times. I could do that occasionally. So be on the lookout. Hit that notification bell. If anyone's interested in that, and I might pop on. You never know. DBD says, I never did like The Wizard of Oz. Those flying monkeys scared the crap out of me. And that's another thing they have inside the sphere when you're watching the movie. Then they have these flying monkeys that are actually flying through the crowd there, through the theater or whatever. Anna Moore says, our military are fighting drug trafficking and organized crime in Ecuador. Meanwhile, the Epstein files still not front and center in the U.S. So that's what we're doing now. Huh? We're in the jungles fighting drug trafficking. All for a big show. Yeah, all big distraction. But we're not going to let them, distract us from Epstein. We're still waiting for them to redact the stuff they're supposed to redact and unredact the stuff that they've redacted that they weren't supposed to redact. To put things to stop taking stuff out. They've been taking things out. They release stuff and take it out. We're going to be on them about that. We're not going to let Epstein files go away. That's for sure. So anyhow, we've got over 2 hours. Just a quick reminder. I talked about this on the last live stream. No Kings coming up on March 28th. That's at the bottom there. You can see the web address. It was at nokings.org. That's pretty easy. So the largest protest in America history is happening. Be part of it. No Kings, March 28th. Find your rally. Go to www.nokings.org. Nokings.org. Let's do that. let's all be a part of that. Let's send the message loud and clear to this Trump administration that we're not going to forget about Epstein. We're not going to let him be a dictator. We're not going to let him to just ignore the Constitution and run this lawless administration that he's been running. We're not going to stand for it, or we're going to stand up to it. So let's do that. March 28th. Find a rally near you at nokings.org. All right, guys. Speaking of work and 4 hours and all that kind of stuff, I should get going so I can get to work. Had a pretty good night last night. They've got this convention in town. It's a pretty big one. It's a ConAg, so it's all agricultural stuff, and it's from people apparently from all over the world. Because I had a bunch of dudes from England last night, but people certainly from all over the country. It's really big, 130,000 people. And last night was a really busy Wednesday. So, and I had a pretty good night. So I better get out there. The ConAg is going on through the weekend, I think. So, and those people are here. They come here to party. They come here to go. They're at the convention all day, and then afterwards they go out and they're seeing the town. So this might be a good week. Hopefully. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. I'll be back Saturday. Is my next, I guess, planned live stream. Like, Sandy was saying to do a live stream at the end of work. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. So be on the lookout. I might do some impromptu thing. But my next where I'm planning to do a live stream will be Saturday at 11 a.m. right after Hal Sparks on Saturday. So you can get up and watch Hal Sparks. And then after that, come on over to Trucker John and hang out with Trucker John for a couple hours. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Squirrel Girl, for getting us at least 1 out of 5 on the goal. I do appreciate you. That will go to the car fund. That $10 will go into the car fund. And thank you so much for that. Thanks to everyone. Sandy Foles had also $1, I think $1.99 super sticker. So thank you for that. Appreciate all your guys' donations over the years. You guys have been really great. And thank you for subscribing. And let's get the 5K. 5K all the way. All right? All right. So all we got to do is words of wisdom. Jolie says, Trucker John, you definitely need to do more live streams from the cab. Those are so much fun. Squirrel says you're wrong. Thank you. DBD says, great show, TJ. Hope you have a great day out there. Like I've said, I kind of feel I don't feel comfortable doing them when I have customers, and I think that's the part you like, is doing it if I have customers in the car. I kind of felt a little uncomfortable about that, so I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air about that. Anyhow, all right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you Saturday, 11 a.m., right after Hal Sparks. So all that's left to do is the words of wisdom. So, guys, you ready? You got your pen? You got your paper? Write this down. Trucker John, words of wisdom. Okay, so first one.
Well, it's time to say goodbye. The show has come to an end. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry.
gonna come back and meet again. We'll have some fun times, hopefully nothing too bad. We might talk about war crimes, might talk about Baghdad. I doubt we'll talk about door chimes, but if we did, I'd be only too glad. So hostile of Easter, baby, the show is over, but could I ask you maybe to take a shower? No, that's not what I meant, but I couldn't think of anything to rhyme with over. Now my whole rhyming scheme is all screwed up. Oh shit, I should have stuck to truck driving, who I tried to kid. At least when I was out there driving, I could handle a skid, but doing this live stream, baby, has been a real kid. So I hope to see y'all again right here on the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna do it again and again, right here in the Trucker John live stream. Yeah, the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna come back and do it all again. No, this ain't no dream. This is where we win, right here on the Trucker John live stream. No, this time to say goodbye. The show is coming in. Don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. Rolling down the highway in my rusty old rig. I'm a retired trucker, but my spirit's still big. Living in Vegas, where the lights never sleep. Broadcasting my thoughts for the world to keep. From politics to pop culture, I've got it all. Sharing my views, no matter how big or small. Talking about food and movies and bugs, shining a light on all the social issues. No shows, I've driven through the desert, seen the city so bright. But now I'm living in a different kind of fight. From my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. In my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. So you want to take a trip down Paradise Road, but it ain't that pretty, it ain't paved with gold. Everybody's got the dirty little secrets, everybody's got some things unknown. But if you ain't real careful, baby, it'll cut you down to the bone. Under all those bright lights,
It's all about fight or flight, and you don't wanna do either. So go on down to Paradise Road, it'll make you wish that you were young. But all it'll do is make you feel old and regret trading in your love for lust. It's all just a big charade, it's all just one big game, and it ain't about love. It's all about the thrills, it's about staying in the hunt, it's about going in for the kill. So head on down to Paradise Road, that's where your friends are now. They're the people that nobody knows, so go ahead and make your big show. So live it up on Paradise Road, just don't let anyone know. It'll be your dirty little secret, it'll be your guilty little pleasure. Living a secret that the whole world sees, hiding in plain sight among the scum and the thieves. So damn hard to ever be pleased. Everyone wants to live the good life, everybody wants a piece of paradise. But where would you run? Where would you hide? What would you do to buy a little more time? Grandiose dreams of happily ever after are really just another day's end. And when the sun goes down, you just lay there wondering, can you really do it all again? You're praying for one last shot, you're hoping for one last big win. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along.
Show's over. I'm out of here, folks. Bye.